Hello, everyone. We will be starting in few minutes. Till then, remember to follow all COVID protocols and keep wearing your mask. Sit alternatively, please. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We wholeheartedly welcome you all to Aurora, the inauguration ceremony of Kaizen 2022. This is Tanya, and I'm Priyal, and we will be your host for this evening. Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Launched in 1969, National Service Scheme NSS is an Indian government-sponsored public service program conducted by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports of the Government of India.
Our only purpose at NSSIT Delhi is to encourage students to participate in nation-building activities via a variety of events and initiatives that assist communities that need upliftment. We believe that such activities are usually a source of considerable joy and fulfillment. NSS IIT Delhi has a volunteer network of roughly 2,000 students from different IIT Delhi disciplines and degrees. We work on a wide variety of social concerns, including blood donation, education, environment, social challenges, and healthcare. In these several domains of volunteer work, we collaborate with a number of NGOs. Vidya, Saraswati Seva Foundation, Ed Justice, Blood Connect, Friendicos, Indian Road Safety Campaign, and many more are among the organizations on the list.
Now, talking about Kaizen. So, Kaizen is NSS IT Delhi's annual social extravaganza, which in literal sense is a Japanese phrase that means continuous improvement. It is a forum to honor the continual changes in our society that have been launched and accelerated by the united efforts of all socially oriented student organizations, NGOs, and corporates throughout India and internationally. Kaizen's main focus is on interaction and exchange of ideas. Its goal is to provide a single forum for the interchange of a wide range of views, tales, and experiences from those who have not only spoken up for society, but also served as role models and paved the way for future generations.
We have a lot of exciting events planned for you all for the next 2 days. We'll start tomorrow, that is 19th April, with Sociopreneurs, where you will be witnessing chosen teams present their business proposals to a panel of renowned social entrepreneurs. This will be an online event. Next, we have Ingenious Geeks, a pan-India virtual science exhibition. This event aims to develop individual thinking and unique ideas among school children. Everyone is invited to witness our remarkable participants' one of a kind solutions to numerous life challenges in the form of science models and gain an entirely new perspective. Then, by the evening, we have Tamasha, a dramatics competition. The event will be in an award show format where entries submitted by the participants will be awarded in various categories. This will be the first hybrid competition of Kaizen 2022.
Okay, so next on 20th April, we will start with 404 Resolve to be held in online mode. It is a hackathon event where participants find technical solutions to problem statements relating to a social cause. This is followed by another online event, All Rise, a courtroom drama. This event will be graced by fiery arguments that aim to spread awareness about existing laws and create better informed citizens. Kaizen will be concluded by our last event, Bazinga, to be held in hybrid mode. This is a stand-up comedy event, and after having exciting first round, our finalists will be performing stand-up acts relating to social issues. We will be delighted by brief performances performed by our judges, both of whom are well-known comedians. So you all are invited.
We are looking forward for your presence in these competitions. Moving on to our today's events.
आओ चलते हैं सब एक साथ कारवा बनाकर करते हैं इस पावन दिन की शुरुआत घी के दिए जलाकर.
Light is a symbol of brightness and prosperity. As sunlight expels the darkness of might, similarly, blessings bring in our life prosperity and happiness. To make this evening blessed, invoke Goddess Saraswati by lighting the lamp of knowledge and wisdom. For seeking the choicest blessings for the same, I invite Dean of Student Affairs, Professor Arvind Nema, our Faculty Coordinator, Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay, Co-General Secretary of NSSIT Delhi, Kavya Parnami, to accompany our highly regarded chief guest, Mr. Anil Swaroop, to kindle the lamp.
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि.
Now I would request all our three General Secretaries to present our esteemed guests, namely Mr. Anil Swaroop, Professor Arvind Nema, and Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay, and our artist for tonight, Mr. Deep Chauhan with bouquets.
भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्.
I would like to invite Samrat sir to please come on the stage.
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
We request Professor Arvind Nema to please come up on the stage and we will then honor him.
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
Now we invite Mr. Deep Chauhan on the stage.
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
What a mesmerizing start to the evening. Now, to mark the beginning of Kaizen, I would like to invite Co-General Secretary of NSSIT Delhi, Shantanu Agarwal, to introduce you all to the backbone of NSSIT Delhi, Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay. Huge round of applause, please.
Thank you, Tanya and Priyal. Good evening, everyone. I, Shantanu Agarwal, am delighted here to stand on behalf of my co-general secretaries Adil and Kavya and the entire NSSIT Delhi team to welcome you all to Aurora, the inaugural ceremony of Kaizen 2022. It is my honor to now introduce you all to the backbone behind the NSSIT Delhi team, our very own faculty coordinator, Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay. Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay is the key driving force behind NSSIT Delhi and works in a variety of fields. He has been an incredible mentor to the NSSIT Delhi team, in addition to being a renowned faculty at the textile department of IIT Delhi. Now, I would like to invite Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay to come up on stage and open Kaizen 2022.
Yeah, so am I audible? Am I visible has become a standard. So welcome, Anil Swarupji. A very warm welcome to our Dean, Professor Arvind Nema. All other esteemed guests, NSS volunteers, students, faculties, their families, a very warm welcome to all of you. So we are very happy to be with Kaizen once more because it used to be one of the most liveliest function happening in IIT Delhi, but then COVID happened and we went into this thing, and yet we try to do it online. But as you all know, online में मतलब वो मजा तो कभी भी नहीं आता है जो कि physical mode में आता है. So we are so happy to be with all of you back again, and I'm so happy that all of us have maintained the social distancing. Right, so very brief about NSS. I'll quickly go through that. We have numerous projects going on in NSS, and we actually divide them into 5 main domains. And we have more than 15 collaborations, and the 2 most important sectors in what we work is education and environment. In education, for example, we tie up with several NGOs. Not only that, we have started small schools for construction, the children of construction workers in IIT Delhi. We also, which was called Bachpan, and we also have Arohan, where IIT students teach students who cannot afford education for aiming for IITs, right? So we used to do that, and there are a lot of other projects in education. Environment is another sector where we work, where we try to tie up again with NGOs and try to look after the campus. For example, IITD is a lush 320-acre campus, inhabiting not only faculties and students, but also animals and birds in the campus. So our students try to take care of many of the things, and they try to do a small kind of tinkering. For example, water dispensers. This is something which they have just developed. Whenever we give water for animals, that water will evaporate and it will not stay for long. So now they have designed some dispensers where at least if you give water, it will stay for 8 hours. And those animals will be. So this kind of small tinkering projects we do. And we also work on health, where a lot of blood donation camps. And I'd like to share that Blood Connect, which is now a full-fledged this thing, actually started from NSS IIT Delhi. So now several people just throw a SMS saying that you need blood, and we try to reach out the right people, and happily we can connect with them. In society, of course, we try to connect, and with a lot of NGOs we work, like Prayas and several others. And the last sector is innovation, where I would not claim that we have done much, but we'll try to do very significantly. I was discussing with Anilji about this. So we have only few success stories, and one of them is like, as I would like to share with you, there were two IAS officers who had approached me once, saying that many Delhi government schools do not have the proper infrastructure. So, and his batchmates want to donate money or furnitures to those schools. So can you create a platform where the schools say what they lack, and then anyone can find out, and if they want to donate, they can donate. So that platform was created by IIT Delhi students. And we would be working on more challenging problems for sure. So, but the main part which I would like to share with you is that the pandemic didn't stop us. And Professor Nema is sitting in front of me. So that we use the online mode for teaching, and we had developed a carbon footprint calculator for everyone, so that we talk of sustainability, but a very simple carbon footprint calculator we developed. We induced care packages for 1,500 people, right? Because one thing what we found was that a lot of people were going into depression. So we thought that if we can design care packages for them, and there was a dedicated team who would interact with them as well. And volunteers become pen pals of many old age homes and people. And there was also contributing to the society by building an innovative website for underprivileged blind youth and promising students. And yeah, another very important thing what NSS did was, like, at one point of time, we were in search of ventilators, the right hospitals, the number of beds, where it is available. So if in one platform, we can slightly try to collate data and help them. So that was another thing what we did. And they also created a comfortable online platform for the LGBTQIA community of IIT Delhi. And they also collaborated with reputed organizations and renowned personalities to conduct online workshop and awareness sessions, right? So can we have a big hand for the NSS volunteers? Because Professor Nema is sitting here, this is the only organization in IIT Delhi which actually continued with a lot of vigor, even amidst the pandemic. So I saw some sad faces sometimes on the online this thing, but I'll definitely say that they would still gather up their courage and gather up their skills and gather up all their happy quotients. And I also try to instill in them whatever positive energy I have. And now we are shifting offline, where we have started the collection drive, and we have already sent the clothes to Gunj, who actually distribute the clothes. We have already started health camp jointly with AIMS. We have kept e-waste dustbins at various places. And we have installed reusable paper boxes in IIT where they can be used. Other than that, wherever tree plantation drives would be there, NSS would reach. And one very interesting concept was to use recycled water bottles to create a. Adil, do we have the chair to show them? I don't know whether we have the chair to show them. You have? Yeah. So it's a very interesting concept where bottles have been used to create a chair, and conducting e-trip to Fendicos. So this is the chair created out of just out of the bottles you would throw. Adil, can you sit for 10 seconds and show that it doesn't collapse? Yeah, it doesn't collapse. So Adil is a demonstrator, and yeah, when a 6-foot guy sits on it for 10 seconds, you have some degree of reliability. And the water dispenser I was speaking of. So water dispenser hai kya Adil? We have it there. Yeah, so it's a very simple design where we have used science. Adil, would you like to explain? Right. And so we'll couple this with creating small shades on them so that the water doesn't become very hot. And it's this thing. So this is what was idea was. So we have 25 more than panelists, 6 collaborators, 7 events. And for some of you who had not visited our website, not because I am the coordinator of NSS IIT Delhi, I can say that it is one of the best designed websites for NSS, where you have all the things put in one place, right? So I personally, when I took over as NSS coordinator, the first thing I did was study at least 20 best NSS website in India and try to imbibe the best things possible. And now I can claim that our website is very sorted. And also we have this thing for Kaizen IIT Delhi, so which you can also scan and you can have a look. Right? And nothing happens without a good team. So let me say that we have a wonderful team of NSS volunteers. And the best part of them is, like, in majority of the time I find them smiling. And to me, that's a wonderful thing. Right? So because I'm not very keen in seeing sad faces. So I believe that whatever sadness is there, we can get rid of it. But these NSS volunteers, whenever they would barge into my cabin, they will bring some happiness, like that kind of faces. So I love to interact with them. So I will request Professor Neymar to, who would be the next speaker, but let me take this chance to say something about our chief guest, Anil Swarupji, because I was fortunate to hear him the last time. And even that time, he inspired me a lot. And I read part of his book. I will not claim complete book, but I have part of his book and I was again inspired. So you should read the books he has written, because not only that, not many IS or bureaucrats or this level people write so candid books, but also because his books doesn't actually want of only success. He equally says about failures and success, right? So that is something which is very important. Interestingly, Anilji, I would like to share with you that I take sometimes stories of failures in science for my students. So, and that is very inspiring. William Hume Carruthers had actually walked on 102 varieties of nylons, out of which only 2 nylons have actually been commercialized. So hundreds were failures. No one says that, right? So I think it's very important to speak of failures as well. And Anilji has done that wonderfully. Sorry, what happened? There was something else there. Okay, so I think the updated slide was not there. I had actually put glimpses of his books in the slides. Okay, so anyone who is interested, I'll share the glimpses of his books, which I had studied. I had also shared pages from his Facebook, where he actually shares stories in grassroots level, right? And not only stories, like what was the problem and how they have got connected and they have solved the problem, right? And this is what I feel NSS should strive at, right? So it's not just an excuse that we're in Delhi, so we cannot solve problems elsewhere. No, we cannot say that, right? So if we come with serious problems, I think NSS team should be responsible for trying to solve serious problems. We're in IIT, right? We claim to be engineers, right? Right. So with that, I'll just say a few lines about Professor Arvind Nema, because I think he'd be the next speaker. Professor Nema is the Dean of Students, you all know. And but I generally speak about the personal traits of people. He's one of the most soft-spoken, polite persons I have interacted in my life. And another trait about him is he doesn't like to speak a lot. तो काफी बार मैं बोलता हूँ तो what he says is, Samrat, just invite, I'll be there, but please don't invite me. He likes to keep a very low key. But few of you might be knowing, because this is not what Professor Nema has said or somebody has said, but Professor Nema has been responsible for solving some of the most complicated problems in IIT Delhi. Most complicated problems, because like managing so many hostels and so much, and he has been associated with the hostels for quite a long time. And मेरे को काफी faculties ने बोला, Professor Nema का जो understanding है hostels का, there are very few people on the campus who had a similar understanding like Professor Nema. So can we again have a good hand for Professor Nema, right? So now, shall I, or you will do the job? Yeah. Okay. So thank you everyone again for coming and giving a boost to the NSS family, right? So hope you have a very nice 3 days in front of you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a warm initiation to the event. Now I would request Shantanu to honor Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay with a memento. Please, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Now we have with us Dean of Student Affairs, Professor Arvind Nema. I would invite him up on the stage to share with us some words of wisdom. Please, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Samrat, for saying that I won't say much. So that's true. I prefer speaking as little as possible. And first of all, I must congratulate Kaizen team, especially because we are having 4 student festivals back to back. And this is third in that row. We started with Trist, successfully completed yesterday. I would say successful, because there were few incidences, 3-4, where I had to intervene. So that is minimal. So I would say very, very successful Trist. We are having Sport Tech, and this is third, which we are having starting today. This will continue for 3 days. After that, we are going to have Rendezvous, much awaited fest. All in person. Like previous 2 years, we lost touch in terms of having in-person festivals. So this is very fortunate year. We have got very small window. You must have seen cases are again increasing, but we have carved out very small window, and we are squeezing all possible things in this. but that requires tremendous patience and discipline from the students. You have to maintain social distancing, wear the mask and everything. Touch wood, so far we are not having any specific surge in the campus because of these two student festivals which are almost done and third is starting today. We hope to continue with the rendezvous. There could be small tinkering in terms of dates because we are waiting for 20th of April when DDMA will have its meeting and decide what is allowed, what is not allowed, and so on and so forth. Yesterday's data was very lucky. We are very hopeful. From 5+% of positivity rate, it dipped little bit. That gives a tremendous hope to all of us, including students. So let's hope it goes well. Having said that, I must say I am interacting with all the student teams in terms of festivals. Kaizen team is the best, most disciplined, very well organized, and I must congratulate Kaizen team and specifically the leadership, Professor Samrat, and the students, Shantanu, Kavya, Adil, and many others, whom I may not be knowing by name, but I'm sure there is a big battery which is working. And they are working with such love and compassion that it is marvelous. So congratulations and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your words of appreciation are really valuable, and I'm sure it has reached to everyone present here. Now I would request Co-General Secretary Adil Agarwal to honor Professor Arvind Nema with a memento.
We now have Mr. Anil Swaroop, a retired IS officer and author. Over the course of his 38-year career, he has held a number of positions, including the Secretary to the Government of India. His two best-selling works are Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant and Not Just a Civil Servant. He has received several honors and nominations for his work as a strategic thinker and a creative leader, including the following. In 2010, 12, 15, and 16, the Economic Times recognized him as a policy change agent. In India's today's 35th annual edition, he was named one of the 35 action heroes. He is the founder chairman of Nexus of Good, an initiative towards recognizing positive action and providing inspiration to the society at large to replicate them. I would like to invite Mr. Anil Swaroop for sharing his experiences, his perspectives of the social issues being a civil servant. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Anil Swaroop.
My young friends and not so young friends, leave it to you to decide where you are. What a pleasure it is to be amidst you all once again, having been confined for 2 years doing virtually nothing or physically nothing. It's a pleasure to be here. But I must share with you that my visits to IITs are still filled with a lot of apprehension, not because of IITs, because what I did way back in 1976 as a student of Allahabad University, I had gone to IIT Kanpur for a debating competition. Just before a day, there was a music competition also. So I thought I was a good singer as well. I participated in that competition in the National Cultural Festival. And within 15 seconds, I was booed out of the hall because I had picked up the wrong phrase. So I still have those memories. I was so distraught that I decided that I will not participate in the debating competition on the following day. One of my seniors came and asked me, and that's a lesson for me even today. He asked me, Anil, जो हो गया उसका तुम कुछ कर सकते हो? हमने कहा मैं क्या कर सकता हूं? तो उसको तो भूलो, आगे की सोचो. And he told me that everyone commits a mistake in his life. There are failures in everyone's life. And I'm so glad Professor Mukhopadhyay mentioned those failures. I've had many of them. I overcame that fear on that day, and next day I did participate in the debating competition at IIT Kanpur. When my name was announced, all that crowd of 1,000 students started shouting, Gayak aa gaya, you know. But, I had overcome my fear and I spoke on that day and won the first prize, and I've never looked back after that. My friends, why am I narrating that to you? I'm narrating that to you because I've yet to come across any individual, any great person in my life who hasn't committed a mistake, who hasn't had failures. So my friends, never ever bothered about failures because they are natural. They're not unnatural. And once you have that in your mind, you have enormous amount of confidence, enormous amount of confidence. I have a separate talk on how to build confidence because this is something which I narrate everywhere. And when I see young friends like you all of us are apprehensive कि ये गड़बड़ तो नहीं हो जाएगा, अगर लोग क्या सोचेंगे और ये क्या हो जाएगा, वो क्या हो जाएगा. It happens with everyone. And since it happens with everyone, it's natural. When I took over as Coal Secretary, Government of India, the scene was pretty bad. So I didn't know much about coal sector. So I rang up a friend of mine. मैंने पूछा यार ये sector कैसा है? Coal में scams हो रहे हैं, क्या है? So instead of answering my question, he asked me a question. Gangs of Wasseypur देखी है क्या? हो गया उत्तर. I understood what the sector was. But over the period, I had already put in about 34 years of service. I had learned a lot during that time. And when I walked into the office of Coal Secretary, it appeared that I was walking into a graveyard. Because CBI was after officers, after files, everything. The whole workforce was demoralized. But I looked at it differently. And that's the second point that I want to share with you because it comes from the first one that I raised. I thought, कि यार स्थिति इतनी खराब है और खराब तो होगी नहीं अभी. अब जो भी होगा अच्छा ही होगा, and I can walk away with that credit. So, my friends, the second point that I want to convey to you, and which, I'm so glad to be here, which is that there is no such thing as objective reality. It is your subjective understanding of that reality that makes a difference. You'll find some people like Professor Mukhopadhyay. I had an excellent session before I came here. Positive. People like him don't become a part of the problem. They're always looking at solution to the problem. Now, I'm not telling the whole story, the coal story that you can read in my book. But one thing I remember that after a period of time, the energy was so positive in the ministry that we used to jokingly say, give us the Kashmir problem, we just might be able to find a solution to it. That was the positive energy that prevailed. We sorted out the coal mess. From acute shortage, we toyed with the idea of exporting coal to Bangladesh. In fact, I went to PMO, and that's again narrated in my book, and I told them, please wind up the ministry because there's no solution there. They asked me why. I said, sir, if you still keep me there, I'll create some problem to justify my existence. That's true of a large number of government departments. We don't solve problems because we want myself to continue. But by that time, the government was looking for the most illiterate, uneducated civil servant to be made School Education Secretary, Government of India. And they found that in Mr. Anil Swarup. So I was made School Education Secretary because I had absolutely no experience whatsoever in education sector. And this goes around, everyone thought ye Anpad, Agyani Purush Secretary Education ban gaya. But in India, people are very good. There are advisors. We call them Rai Sahab in UP. They are such advisors who wouldn't have done anything in their lives, but they can give you advice. Kya karna hai? And there's some very highly paid advisors from across the Atlantic. They didn't do anything in India. They went to the US and they come up heavily paid and come and advise you. So one such advisor who was an Indian, settled in the US, occasional visits to India to advise, came and advised me. He said, sir, you must travel to England, Finland, Holland, Scotland, New Zealand. Oh, he named all the lands of the world, and before he would complete his list, I said, have you visited motherland? So he didn't understand immediately, but then he caught on. I said, let me look at the motherland. So what I did was, I traveled to 24 states in the country. And when I say states, they were not the state headquarters only. The first two districts I visited were Bastar and Sukma. I don't know whether you heard of them. They are in Chhattisgarh, Naxal districts. And then I traveled from Pune to Goa by road, dropping down on the way, looking at the schools. I traveled from Srinagar to Leh, not taking the national highway, going deep inside mountains to understand, and so on and so forth. What I discovered was absolutely amazing. I saw some fantastic models working in the field. So we picked up 110 such models. And these models were not government models, so to say. They were done by the non-governmental organization. I'll come to that later on, or what you all can do there. That's what I'm trying to drive at. And I called these 110 people over to Delhi. And I sat with them for 6 days, understanding what they were doing. I must give you one such example, because what we did was, out of these 110, we selected 24 models, took them back to the states, held conferences, and many such models have scaled. I must give you one such example. I was visiting a place called Pastepada in Maharashtra. I had heard about it. And this was, so to say, an unscheduled visit. This was 120 kilometers north of Thane district in tribal areas. What I had heard was this school does not have electricity. It's a primary government school. So when I visited there, the teacher came out and he received me. His name is Sandeep Gund. He took me to the classroom. This is a 2-room school. And the moment I walk into the classroom, I am shocked. I find that every child has a tablet and there's a smart screen. So I asked him, this school doesn't have electricity. How do you get the electricity to charge these tablets? He takes me around those 2 schools and shows me a foldable solar panel through which he was charging the batteries, and through batteries he was charging these. Then the next question was, where did you get the money to buy these tablets? He said, well, sir, when I came here, there were about 40, 50 children, many of whom didn't come to the school, of all shapes, sizes, and ages. I didn't know what to do with them. So I used to download some educational videos at the place where I live, where there was some internet connectivity. I used to come here and play it to them, and they used to be very fascinated. They used to sit around me. So after 2 months, about 20 parents came to the school and asked him a very funny question. They asked him, Guruji, पहले तो स्कूल जाते नहीं थे बच्चे, अब भागते हैं स्कूल को, आपने क्या किया? So he explained to them कि भाई मैं वीडियो दिखाता हूँ, maybe they are attracted. Now this teacher was a very perceptive teacher. He found that these parents are very interested in what's going on. So he requested those parents who were very poor people, can you all contribute 500 rupees each so that I can buy 2 tablets? So बच्चों के लिए हर जना करता, उन्होंने भी जोड़ घटा के अपना 500 रुपए दे दिए. उसके बाद 10-12 हजार रुपए हुए, उसने 2 टैबलेट खरीद लिए, rudimentary tablets, and he started using them. Around this time, an NGO and a CSR funding agency, they heard about this passion of the teacher, and they visited the school. And they asked, they were also very, very pleasantly surprised at what Sandeep Gund was doing. So they agreed to fund these tablets and a smart screen. It was around that time that I visited, and I found that I was also very pleasantly shocked. So I took a photograph with Sandeep Gund. I tweeted it. Suddenly, Sandeep Gund becomes a local hero. Teachers and principals from surrounding school visit the school and start replicating in their own small way. In the meanwhile, I met the President of India. Mr. Kovind had just taken over as President of India. So I went on call on him. And since he had some time, I narrated this wonderful story of Sandeep Gund. He was also very surprised. I said, sir, would you like to meet him? He said, why not? So I called Sandeep Gund over to Delhi. He met the President of India. A photograph was taken. Suddenly, Sandeep Gund becomes a national hero from nowhere. But this is not the end of the story. The Pastepada model of digital schools was subsequently replicated in 50,000 schools of Maharashtra with not a single penny from the government, 340 crores raised through crowdsourcing. This is the magic of Nexus of Good. This is the magic that you all can perform. My friends, I tell you this story. I tell you this story just to inspire you to believe nothing is small. The question is whether I have that fire in me to do what I want to do, whether I derive that sense of satisfaction from doing what I ought to do. And I see these bright faces sitting here, whatever Mr. Professor Mukhopadhyay told me, I see that fire in all of you. Don't worry about the consequences thereof. If you can enjoy the moments and the journey that you're undertaking, that's it. Because as they say, karmanye vadikaresthema felishu kadachana. There's no control over results. But my friends, I learned this over a period of time to enjoy the moments that you're in. I love those moments. I remember I was doing this scheme called Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, National Health Insurance Scheme, which has now morphed into Ayushman Bharat. It's another story. Maybe some other day I'll tell you that. But I must tell you this part of this scheme. When this scheme started, there was a lot of resistance and all, but We overcame that, and scheme came to be recognized world over as one of the finest health insurance schemes in the world, recognized by ILO, UNDP, and World Bank. So Mr. Obama became the president of the US. So one of his advisors rang me up. He said, Mr. Swaroop, can you come over to US and make a presentation on this lovely health insurance scheme that you have? I said, our context is totally different. What can I tell you? No, if you could come over, it would be great. So in one of the visits to the World Bank at Washington, I visited this place called Brookings Institute that houses the advisors of the president. And there I made this presentation on Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. During the course of the presentation, there were representatives of the US government. There were representatives of our own mission in Washington. There were also representatives of Gates Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, and many other foundations. After my presentations, I went out and I was having a cup of tea. This gentleman from Gates Foundation walks up to me and asks me, Mr. Swaroop, you seem to be very passionate about the scheme that you're doing. What is the government giving you beyond your salary? You know, that is a question that is asked of many people. Some people are passionate in this same set of circumstances, others are not. So I asked him a counter question. I asked him, tell me, what does Gates Foundation get? They give millions of dollars to poor countries. What do they get out of it? He said, well, that's a job, but more than that, we derive a lot of satisfaction out of the help that we give to the poor people. I said, you've answered your own question. The Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana is meant for the poorest of the poor of my country. A large number of them would have been dead but for this scheme. So the good wishes of those people that survived and their families come back to me somehow, anyhow, that's good enough a kick for me to do what I'm doing. And then I narrated an incident to him, just to illustrate the point. In this scheme, there were hospitals that were empaneled, not the Apollos and Maxes, they were small hospitals. I was visiting one of those hospitals, and I was talking to a patient beneficiary. Suddenly, I heard a very feeble voice from behind, and I turned around, I saw a very old lady who could not sit, was flashing that smart card and calling me, beta idhar aao. So I went down and bent down because she couldn't sit. I bent down and asked her, Mata ji, aap theek to hain? She tells me, beta, मैं बहुत तकलीफ में हूँ, लेकिन इन अस्पताल वालों ने मेरा बड़ा ख्याल रखा है. I said, फिर तो माता जी आप ठीक हो जाएंगी, अपने घर जाएंगी. नहीं बेटा, मेरा तो कोई घरवर नहीं है, मैं भीख मांगती थी. मैं बीमार पड़ गई, मेरा पड़ोसी था, वो भी भीख मांगता था. उसने तुम्हारा ये कार्ड देखा, मुझे अस्पताल में ले आए. यहाँ पर ये सब मेरी सेवा कर रहे हैं, मुझसे पैसे भी नहीं लेते, मेरे पास है भी नहीं देने को. So I told her, माता जी आप चिंता ना कीजिए, पैसे की चिंता ना कीजिए, इसमें पैसा नहीं लगेगा, आप ठीक हो. नहीं बेटा, अब तो मेरी उम्र इतनी हो गई, अब मैं ऊपर वाले के पास जाऊंगी. I mean, this carried on for 5-10 seconds. And then she made a very remarkable statement. She says, बेटा ऊपर वाले से जाके एक बात जरूर कहूंगी, तुम्हारी स्कीम बहुत अच्छी है. You know, friends, in my book, I call them my Bharat Ratnas. I still get goosebumps as I narrate these stories. I lived that life. I enjoyed that life. I continue to enjoy my life now as well, because I do feel that a lot of good work is happening around us. A lot of good work. These incidents inspired me to start the Nexus of Good movement. And I request all of you to just type Nexus of Good on Google and join the Nexus of Good movement. It doesn't require anything, just some details and you become a part of that. You will find hundreds of stories on this portal of wonderful work that is being done around us. And you can feel inspired by some of the stories I've narrated. There are many more stories which you love to read them. Because the fundamental principle is that look around and look for something good that is happening around you. Then try and understand that good, how it is happening. Then most importantly, appreciate the good work. हम मुक्तकंठ से बुराई करते हैं, मुक्तकंठ से तारीफ नहीं करते, समझ में नहीं आता क्यों. प्रोफेसर मुखोपाध्याय ने बड़ी अच्छी बात कही कि you know, the best thing that you can do, probably people have contested this, but best thing that you can do with your lips is to smile. There are other things also you can do, but you can smile. Why not? Appreciate the good work. हम कंजूसी क्यों करते हैं? उसके बाद try and replicate the good work. Try and scale the good work. That's what Nexus of Good movement is all about. My request to all of you is try and join that movement. Join that movement. And why? Because the movement is based on public-private partnership. The tragedy of our existence is, I have seen that in government. In government, everyone feels that the private sector में सब चोर हैं, पैसा बना रहे हैं. And in private sector, everyone feels that everyone in the government is a chore, is a corrupt man. Both are equally wrong. I have had experience on either side of the fence. There are outstanding people on either side of the fence, in the private and the public. If all the rascals and the ruffians of the world can unite together and make life difficult for us, why shouldn't good people come together and make life good? It doesn't happen, but let's make it happen. That's what Get Nexus to Good is all about. I can go on and on these days. I'm only walking because I'm only talking because that's the easy thing to do. Walking is difficult. You all have to walk now and then probably talk later on. But I'm sure you're going to walk well because you have inspired professors like Professor Mukhopadhyay. I'm telling you, the 20 minutes that I spent with him before coming here were truly inspirational. I mean, what wonderful work is being done by him and his team. I wish I knew him when I was in service, but I'm so glad that I've come to know him now. And as I told him, he would now be in trouble because whoever gets in touch with me is in trouble. He will be in trouble. He is going to enjoy that trouble. I'm so thankful to you for having invited me here. It was a pleasure being here. And I hope to continue to be associated with all of you. My compliments to the organizers of this event. How wonderfully well you have organized it. I have loved being here and I'll be available to all of you. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Thank you. I had suggested that we could have some question answers if there's time available. If the organizers are fine with them, I would certainly like to respond to some of the questions if you have. Yes, that gentleman there, if you can have a mic there. Do you have a mic that can go up to that place? This would work? Yeah. Provided time permits, I don't want to impinge on somebody else's time. Yeah, okay, right. Okay, you are a young man, you can speak it aloud, everyone will hear. Oh yes, audible to everyone, you are very loud, good. Thank you for your observation. It will be too presumptuous of me to say that we are giving right direction to the country. वो देश की बात करने के लिए बहुत बड़े-बड़े लोग हैं, हम तो छोटी-छोटी बात करते हैं. But I can assure you that if you go to Nexus of Good portal, you will have hundreds of stories of how civil servants and non-civil servants are contributing for the benefit of the society. In fact, my next book is getting launched on 2nd of May. It has 50 such case studies of wonderful work being done by NGOs and government servants, giving the direction exactly what you're saying. So go to Nexus of Good, you'll find that. That's the portal to go to and become a member of Nexus of Good. Any other question? Yes, sir. Here.
जो अच्छा लगता है वो करो, ठीक है? तो सर मतलब अपने सेल्फ ड्रिवन रहो, एनर्जी के साथ करो, अच्छा लग रहा है, प्रेजेंट में जियो. तो सर मेरा क्वेश्चन यही है कि कभी-कभी जैसे हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं और कभी-कभी बहुत ज़्यादा डिवोटेड हो जाते हैं, तो आपको जैसे लोग कहते थे कि गायक आ गया, ऐसे चिढ़ा दिए, तो हमें भी चिढ़ा दिए कि पढ़ नहीं रहा है, क्या कर रहा है. तो सर मतलब प्रेजेंट में जिए, कैसे जिए, लाइक लगता है कि आगे क्या होगा, आगे का हमेशा से डर रहता है और उस वजह से जी नहीं पाते हैं. तो आपका क्या सुझाव होगा इस पे?
I would request you, if you invite me again, I'll talk for about an hour on that to convince you on how to go about it. There's a full session, but briefly I can tell you. The lack of confidence is on account of certain factors. One factor is that you might fail, you might commit a mistake. And the way to overcome that factor is, you are not the only person who commits mistake, you are not the only person who would fail. Once you have that in your mind, half the problem will get over, because failure is natural. John F. Kennedy, Mahatma Gandhi, all had failures and committed mistakes. So it's not that you are the only person. That gives you confidence. Second is that in which company are you in? You are in company of positive people or people who take negatively, because it rubs on to you. I'll give you my own example. I was secretary horticulture in UP and scene was very bad. A minister asked me to suspend a deputy director who was an honest and efficient officer. The order was legal in the sense that the minister had the authority to suspend that officer. But to my dismay, I didn't know how to protect this officer. So despite being optimistic, I was absolutely down in the dumps. And when you're down in the dumps, the poet in you comes out. What was the poetry that I composed at that point in time? संशय नहीं मन में तेरी सृष्टि में या तुझ में, तू ही तू मेरे मन में समाया, सब कुछ मैंने तुझसे है पाया, फिर भी स्तब्ध हूं, व्याकुल हूं, अशांत हूं, शायद अनजान हूं. क्या यही जीवन है? जो पापी है, दुराचारी है, क्यों जीत रहा निरंतर है? स्पष्ट करो, अभिव्यक्त करो, कुछ तो करो मेरे राम. तो मैंने अपनी वेदना राम की झोली में डाल दी, because I was so distraught. But if you're an optimist, the answer will come to you. It came like this, which is there in my books also. समय रुका नहीं, हम क्यों ठहर गए? समय रुका नहीं, हम क्यों ठहर गए? अभी तो हम चले भी नहीं, फिर क्यों थक गए? उठो पथिक, उठो पथिक, मत भ्रमित हो, धूमिल अंधियारे में, श्रेष्ठ वही जो घिरा नहीं हो क्षणिक निराशा में. जागो, जगाओ, मन मत बहलाओ, एक मसीहा तुम भी बन जाओ.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, now there are more questions. So what I'll do is, see, as I said, I don't want to impinge on anybody else's time. May I request the organizers to convey my telephone number to all of you. You have I, as Secretary Government of India, I used to guarantee a response within 24 hours. I do that now as well. Please convey my telephone number. I may not be able to answer all your questions right here. Please note down my number, 9899982388. 9899982388. And you can convey it. You can ask those questions. I'll try and respond to your questions. We can take one more question, Professor. Is that fine? Yes. Who? Can I see some hands? Okay, let's go. Sorry, sir. Let's go at the back. There's a person with, these days one has to be careful about orange wearing shirts, so I have to go to the saffron one. Yes. If you don't do that, you might be in trouble, Yes.
Okay, so you talked about the public-private partnership, and there has been a lot of buzz recently about the privatization of many of the sectors of the government. So I actually wanted to know, let's say, what do you think is the best way of India moving forward, and let's say, the fast development of India and how it should go about privatization, public-private partnership. And stuff.
Wow. That again would require a long lecture on public-private partnership. But you must understand the difference between privatization and public-private partnership. If you don't, then there's a serious issue here. What I'm talking about is public-private partnership in social sector. There is no privatization happening there. It's a question of the best. The efficiencies will come from the private domain and social sector, and the scale will come from the government domain. And if the two can come together, and I have demonstrated that time and again, you can actually scale it. So that's what I mean by public-private partnership. If you all agree, maybe at some later date, I can talk about privatization at length. It will require much more time. So thank you very much. Since we are running out of time, otherwise I would have answered your questions, more of your questions. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Mistakes, failures occur in everybody's life. आगे की सोचो, overcome the fear, enjoy the moment you are in, and keep that spark ignited. I personally loved this part of your speech, sir, and can't thank you enough for your valuable words, which have surely inspired all of our audience. Now, I would like to request Adil to honor Mr. Anil Swaroop with a memento. Thank you, sir, on behalf of the whole audience of IIT Delhi. Now we present before you branding video of our official education partner, Geeks for Geeks. Okay, so now we have with us two of our team members, Khushi Tekwani and Jyotika Rao Chaudhary, with Aryan Goel on the guitar to wow you all with their beautiful vocals. A big hand for them.
चिड़ैया नन्ही सी चिड़िया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। ओरी चिड़ैया नन्ही सी चिड़िया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। अंधियारा है घना और लहू से सना, किरणों के दिन के अंबर से झुमके अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। हमने तुझ पे हजारों सितम है किए, हमने तुझ पे जहां भर के जुल्म किए, हमने सोचा नहीं तू जो उड़ जाएगी ये ज़मीं तेरे बिन सूनी रह जाएगी। किसके दम पे सजेगा मेरा अंगना। ओरी चिड़ैया नन्ही सी चिड़िया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। ओरी चिड़ैया नन्ही सी चिड़िया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। तेरे पंखों में सारे सितारे जड़ूं, तेरी चुनर धनक सतरंगी बुनूं, तेरे काजल में मैं काली रहना भरूं, तेरी मेहंदी में मैं कच्ची धूप मलूं, तेरे नैनों सजा दूं नया सपना। चिड़िया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। ओरी चिड़ैया नन्ही सी चिड़िया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे।
Thank you, Khushi, Jyotika, and Aryan for this wonderful performance. Indeed, we do have a lot of talent in our team. You will surely get to see it in the upcoming 2 days. Up next, we have a cultural performance planned for you. The performers for the evening are Mr. Deep Chauhan and Mr. Prateek. Let's get lost in their mesmerizing voice. Put your hands together for these young, talented, and upcoming performers.
सो हेलो एवरीवन, यहाँ पे हम आपको कुछ सोशलाइज सॉन्ग सुनाएंगे, ठीक है। तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल अपना आप नाम बता देंगे। तो मेरा नाम है दीप एंड ये है प्रतीक, ठीक है। तो आई होप सबको आपको यहाँ पे परफॉर्मेंस जो है अच्छी लगे, ठीक है। तो चलो स्टार्ट करते हैं। टूटा टूटा एक परिंदा ऐसे टूटा कि फिर उड़ ना पाया। टूटा टूटा इसने उसको ऐसे लूटा कि फिर उड़ ना पाया। गिरता हुआ वो आसमां से आकर गिरा जमीन पर। ख्वाबों में उसके बादल ही थे, वो कहता रहा मगर कि अल्लाह के बंदे हंस दे, अल्लाह के बंदे, अल्लाह के बंदे हंस दे, जो भी हो कल फिर आएगा। अल्लाह के बंदे हंस दे, अल्लाह के बंदे, अल्लाह के बंदे हंस दे, जो भी हो कल फिर आएगा। नेक्स्ट सॉन्ग जो है हमारा, ठीक है, हम सबकी माँ के लिए। तो आप सब जो अपनी अपनी माँ को प्यार करते हैं तो प्लीज हमारा सपोर्ट दीजिएगा अगले गाने में। लुका छुपे बहुत हुए, सामने आ जाना। कहाँ कहाँ ढूंढा तुझे, थक गई है अब तेरे माँ। हो आजा सांझोई, मुझे तेरी फिक्र धुंधला गई, देख मेरी नजर आ जाना। हो आजा सांझोई, मुझे तेरी फिक्र धुंधला गई, देख मेरी नजर आ जाना। क्या बताऊं माँ कहाँ हूँ मैं। एक बार अपनी अपनी माँ के लिए ना तालियां हो जाए एक बार। यहाँ उड़ने को मेरे खुला आसमां है, तेरे किस्सों जैसा भोला सलोना जहाँ है, यहाँ सपनों वाला मेरी पतंग हो बेफिक्र उड़ रही है माँ। डोर कोई खींचे नहीं, बीच से काटे ना, तेरी राह तके यकिया, जाने कैसा कैसा हो जिया, तेरी राह तके यकिया, जाने कैसा कैसा हो जिया। धीरे धीरे आंगन उजला सवेरा, मेरा दीप का झलके सूरज करे इशारा, चंदा तू है कहाँ, मेरे चंदा तू है कहाँ। लुका छुपी बहुत सामने आ जाना, कैसे तुझको बताऊं माँ मैं क्या, मैंने झरने से पानी माँ तोड़ के पिया है, गुच्छा गुच्छा तेरे ख्वाबों का तोड़ के जिया है, नई नई ठंडी धूप है, नया नया सा रूप यहाँ सब कुछ है माँ बेबे, लगे बस यूं सब यूं अकेला। रे गा रे गा 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 सा रे 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 गा रे गा 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 सा रे गा मा पा धा नि सा रे गा रे गा 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 मा पा धा सा गा रे गा 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 सा रे 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 गा रे गा गा सा रे गा मा पा धा नि सा रे गा 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 मा पा धा सा गा रे सा 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 नि रे ने नि धा gama gama bada da gama gama bada da gama gama zari sarega तेरी निगाहें आ गई राहें, पर यूं ये सोचे जाऊं न जाऊं, ये जिंदगी तो है नाचती तो क्यों बेड़ियों में है तेरे पाँव, प्रीत की धुन में झूम ले पागा, उठता गए उड़ने जा, खाए नहीं इसको तू खुल के बताए, जो है कहे जो है सुनी, ये गाना सबने सुना है बता, तो एक बार आवाज से मित सिंग इट थोड़ा थोड़ा तेज। कहे धड़कने तुझसे क्या मितवा, ये खुद से तो ना तू छुपा, मेरे मन ये बता दे तू, किसे और चला है तू, क्या पाया नहीं तूने, क्या ढूंढ रहा है तू। जो हम कहीं, जो हम सुनी, वो बात क्या है बता, मितवा कहे धड़कने तुझसे क्या, मितवा ये खुद से तो ना तू छुपा। थैंक यू। तो अभी तक सबको मजा आया? ठीक है, अब जितने भी हम जैसे यंग जनरेशन है ना, उनके लिए थोड़े से गाने, ठीक है, थोड़े मोटिवेशन, ठीक है, तो प्लीज ये गाने भी सबने सुने हुए, तो प्लीज साथ में गाना।
थोड़ा गिटार का वॉल्यूम मिल जाएगा मॉनिटर पे, हल्का सा।
शामें मलंग सी, रातें सुरंग सी, बाकी उड़ान पे भी ना जाने क्यों इलाही मेरा जिया है, इलाही मेरा जिया है, इलाही मेरा जिया है, इलाही मेरा जिया है। खुद पे सवाल है, जीना फिलहाल है, खाना बदोशियों पे ही जाने क्यों इलाही मेरा जिया है, इलाही मेरा जिया है। ऊपर वाले को आवाज आ रही है? आप सबको आवाज आ रही है? तो आप भी अपना वहां से भी आवाज आ रही है। तूफानों को चीर के मंजिलों को छीन ले, आशाएं उड़े दिल की, उम्मीदें जगे दिल के, अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी, नहीं कुछ भी। कुछ आने की हो आस, हंस गए अरमा दिल को आसपास, आशा है, आशा है, आशा है, अरमा दिल को आसपास करे, अरमानों को आसपास, आशा है, आशा है। तूफानों को चीर के मंजिलों को छीन ले, आशाएं उड़े दिल की, उम्मीदें जगे दिल के, अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी, नहीं कुछ भी। रूबरू रोशनी, रूबरू रोशनी, धुआं छटा खुला गगन मेरा, नहीं डगर नया सफर मेरा, जो बन सके तू हम सफर मेरा, नजर मिला जरा, धुआं छटा खुला गगन मेरा, नहीं डगर नया सफर मेरा, जो बन सके तू हम सफर मेरा, नजर मिला जरा। वादियों से जगा ये लो मेरी मशालों से जगा ये लो मेरी ना वो निशान कोई ना रहे ये कारवां वही ना रहे उजाले में जी गया रोशन हुआ जी गया क्यों से तेरा रोशनी है खुदा मुझको बता तू रहता कहाँ क्या तेरा पता बता हम तो यहाँ पे मुसाफिर हैं जो ढूंढे अपनी मंजिल का पता खुदा मुझको बता तू रहता कहाँ क्या तेरा पता हम तो यहाँ पे मुसाफिर है जो ढूंढे अपनी मंजिल का पता जाती है जहाँ मेरी जान जाती है तन्हाइयों में रहता हूँ खुद से ही अक्सर ये कहता हूँ क्यों तूने दिल तोड़ा क्यों तूने यूं छोड़ा क्यों तेरा भी ना दिल को इंतजार क्यों चली आती है क्यों तड़पाती है क्यों अब भी मैं यूं बेकरार ऐ खुदा मुझको बता तू रहता कहाँ क्या तेरा पता हम तो यहाँ पे मुसाफिर है जो ढूंढे अपनी मंजिल का पता ऐ खुदा मुझको बता तू रहता कहाँ क्या तेरा पता हम तो यहाँ पे मुसाफिर है जो ढूंढे अपनी मंजिल का पता फासले है मगर पर तू दूर नहीं जाना के हम तो हैं पर तू मजबूर नहीं हर लम्हा मुझको ये तड़पाती है जहाँ मेरी जान जाती है तन्हाइयों में रहता हूँ खुद से ही अक्सर ये कहता हूँ क्यों तूने दिल तोड़ा क्यों तूने यूं छोड़ा क्यों तेरा भी रहे दिल को इंतजार क्यों चली आती है क्यों तड़पाती है क्यों अब भी मैं यूं बेकरार तू रहता कहाँ क्या पता बता यहाँ पे मुसाफिर है जो ढूंढे अपनी मंजिल का पता थैंक यू हम जीत रहे हैं ना यहाँ पे ठीक है हम सबकी लाइफ ना बस एक ही सपोर्ट पे चलती है वो है हमारे दोस्त ठीक है तो जितने भी हैं यहाँ पे उन सबके दोस्तों के लिए और मेरे दोस्तों के लिए भी ठीक है ये गाना मुझे सोया रे कहाँ है सोया राना याद करेगी दुनिया तेरा मेरा अफसाना तेरी जिंदगी सवारी तुझको गले लगा के बैठा दिया पलक पे मुझे ख्वाब से उठा के मेरी जिंदगी सवारी मुझको गले लगा के बैठा दिया पलक पे मुझे खाक से उठा के यारा तेरी यारी को मैंने तो खुदा माना याद करेगी दुनिया तेरा मेरा फसाना तेरे जैसा यार कहाँ ऐसा याराना याद करेगी दुनिया तेरा मेरा फसाना तेरी जी तेरी हाँ मेरी यार सुन ले मेरे यार तेरा तो मेरा नाम तेरा जान मेरा यार सुन ले मेरे यार जान से भी खेलेंगे तेरे लिए ले लेंगे जान से भी खेलेंगे तेरे लिए ले लेंगे सबसे दुश्मनी ये दोस्ती हम नहीं तोड़ेंगे गम मगर तेरा साथ ना छोड़ेंगे ये दोस्ती हम नहीं तोड़ेंगे गम मगर तेरा साथ ना छोड़ेंगे अरे यारो दोस्ती बड़ी ही हसीन है ये ना हो तो क्या बोलो ये जिंदगी है कोई तो थोड़ा जुदा बेगरस तेरा हुआ कोई तो थोड़ा जुदा Thank you. So I hope सबको मजा आया. Thank you.
Wow, what a wonderful performance to embrace the evening. A huge round of applause, everyone, please. This performance was equally magical and mesmerizing. We at NSS ID Delhi would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Deep Chauhan and Mr. Prateek for accepting our invitation and gracing this ceremony with their presence. I would request Adil to honor Mr. Deep Chauhan and Mr. Prateek with mementos. Huge round of applause, everyone. Okay, so moving on to further, we would like to introduce you all to the two most recent initiatives by our team. As already mentioned by Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay, first we have EcoBricks, an eco-friendly initiative taken by our team to make use of plastic bottles that are thrown away into something that is useful for the society. NSSIT Delhi was able to create 4 sitting stools out of 30 plus bottles each, which are very comfortable and sturdy. Second, we have automatic water dispenser made to keep the animals on campus hydrated, since the scorching summer heat is not only for us humans but also for the animals. During summers, the water kept in the earthen pots gets evaporated in a short time. So to overcome this issue, we came up with this idea. Looking forward to more such initiatives. Every individual is free to come up with more such ideas.
Now, we have with us top performers from our pre-Kaizen inter-NSS event Confluence, in which various NSS bodies participated and presented the initiatives undertaken by the NSS unit. The top performers are NSS units from Gargi College, Hansraj College, and Shriram College of Commerce in no particular order. We'd like to call upon Professor Ashok Ganguly, the Deputy Director of Strategy and Planning, IIT Delhi, Mr. Anil Swaroop, and Professor Samrat Mukhopadhyay to come up on stage and felicitate the 3 best entries from Confluence 2022. We'd like to call upon stage students from Shriram College of Commerce. Please welcome Shivansh, Rishi, Suhasini, and Wrinkle. NSS SRCC, striving to make an inclusive space for all communities that are often neglected in the society. We'd like to call upon stage students from Gargi College. We have with us Agrima, Anshika, Akansha, and Shalini. NSS Gargi team, breaking stereotypes, unlearning, relearning, and learning gender biases. And from Hansraj College, please welcome Priya. Oh. From Hansraj College, please welcome Priya, Radha Ballab, and Suyash. Team NSS Hansraj, imparting education, empowering women, protecting and nurturing our surroundings, ensuring nutrition, and spreading awareness. I would like to request all teams to once again come on stage for a group photo.
I request all the professors and the chief guests to please come up on the stage for the group photo.
Thank you, everyone. We are proud to honor change makers like you. Now we would like Professor Ashok Ganguly to deliver a vote of thanks.
Good. So I begin where the song left. Ye dosti, hum nahi chhodenge. I don't know. None of you were born in 1975 when this classic movie was screened in, which is Sholay, which is considered India's biggest hit ever. Right? That's 75. A great movie. And as somebody said, I think as we grow, you will always cherish this friendship, which you develop. You won't believe at my age, now I am recollecting and meeting friends who were in my primary school. And I met them in a class 5, class 6. And the bonding is so strong. You may be anybody in anywhere, but we talk in the same language. What we used to talk in school in 8th, 9th, 10th and all. So I think one thing that a friendship, true friendship, what is valued is not the position which you hold. And each of us have gone in different directions, but how we spent our childhood together. And I think you will cherish more if you have done something together which gives you satisfaction later on in life, which brings me to the theme of this NSS workshop, which is on doing something, not for yourself, but for others. The others can be the downtrodden, could be a poor person, could be a maimed animal. How many of us will pick up a maimed animal and take it to a vet? You will find these, but they are rare. And similarly, we are scared of picking up an accident victim on the road and taking to hospital, although government has now made a lot of laws that you will not be asked anything. And also things are much better now than say 15, 20 years back. Well, I must first thank our guest who is sitting in the first row, who is a former bureaucrat. And I think you are retired, right? That's Mr. Swaroop. And thank you for joining us. So I must tell you that, in our busy life, there are few moments when you can do something out of the box, and these happen at the spur of the moment, and that happens automatically, something inbuilt in you, and those things actually stay a long way. The things which I said, which, for example, 4 things, if I remember in my life, I will remember like this: I helped, or I won't say I helped, opportunity came to me to help a girl who is falling out of school, to bring her back to school, of a laborer who today is doing a PhD in physics somewhere, okay, abroad. Now, that is something I would always cherish, because, if that spur of the moment in a village school, when teacher brought that notice to me, if I had not, or, that opportunity was there and I took that opportunity today, when I think where the family now has gone, a laborer's family, and now this girl is doing PhD in physics. I think somewhere I feel satisfied. Similarly, friends, school friends, found one of our friend passed away, and we had to, an opportunity came to help the family. So we took care of the education of a child of that friend of ours. So when friends like you, some 7 or 8 of us came together, with our kind of salary, we can easily take care of one more child. It's not very difficult. So things like that is what should come to any normal human being. If we get an opportunity, we should, take it up and try to do our level. Like that, there are 3-4 instances I will always remember, that these, whenever I think, I feel satisfied, we could do something. Otherwise, that person would be in a very different situation. So please, this is what I think this whole theme of social outreach or Kaizen is like, giving you a platform to bond among yourselves and to think for society. And there are various ways you can always find something, and it can become, many people search for what is there to do in life. Even such small things, will give you a great direction in life to do. There are people, but you have to be cut out for something. Like I know a friend who was in IBM in Watson. IBM's greatest lab in US was the IBM Watson lab in New York, right? So there he was a computer scientist, right? He came back to India and in Karnataka, and he served the farm. He did great job. But I am not saying that everybody will have. He had a connect. He knew what to do, and exactly. So you may have a connect which you can develop even as a growing engineer and a scientist and all that, which will help society in some way. So I think that's all what I want to say. Great to have this meeting live in physical, and after a long time in a renovated seminar hall. So it looks very nice and good that all of you are here. And thanks to Samrat and his team and all the students. I believe around nearly 100 students or 70 plus students are participating in organizing this meeting. Thanks to all the sponsors and especially to our esteemed guests who are speaking in this meeting and taking, giving their ideas and wisdom. Some of these, great people are always there. But point is, we don't get it. It's like you have a speaker and a receiver, but if the wavelengths don't matter, no matter 5,000 times I tell you the same thing, it will not catch. But there will be one guy who will catch it. That's the difference between, are you ready for that thing or not? That's what is great. People always, stories are the same. You read Vivekananda, read any other religious reformer, they always say the same things. But how many things we capture? Some things we capture, after, we become old because we are reading and we have gone through life and we have seen some things don't matter, what you wear and whether I have a tie or, I have a, Armani suit. Sometimes we come to that when we had all that thing. And then we realize these things really don't matter. At the end of your life, what matters is how you spend your each moment. What did you do in those moments? Everybody has similar number of moments. And life is about moments. And life is, each moment you can do something important. That is what you have to realize. That moment will come and go by if you don't catch it. It's not that somebody will come and tell you, no, that moment is coming. It is always there around you. You have to take it up, whichever strikes you that I need to do. And that moment, if you do something great, will remember, you will cherish it. And many people ask, why is this life? We are born, we die one day. What is so big? No matter I may become a billionaire, I will die one day, right? So what is great? I have 5 houses, 6 limousines or something. What is the great thing? The great thing is what you did in those moments when you were alive. Many people are born dead. That means they are not interested in anything. And people are living even at 80 or 90 trying to do something for somebody else. That's the difference between living your life, okay, And so whenever you live a life for somebody else, it is bigger. For myself, everybody is working. We are always selfish. We are all working for ourselves. But where is it that you did something for somebody else? That is what will count at that. So I think these are all big things, but these are actually things which you will go through in your life. And some people catch it early, some people catch it late, but we all understand this one day or the other, right? What is meaningful, what is important in life, and what we will cherish when we will not be able to move, sit on our chair. What are those moments which we will cherish? Will it be a drive along the California coast, or drive maybe along the coast of India, Kerala, or doing something unusual which change the life of somebody forever? These are things one will realize as we grow up. So take those opportunities, do something which you will cherish all your life. Thank you. Thank you.
I would request Kavya to honor Professor Ashok Ganguly with a memento.
Yeah, you can honor. I wanted to say something about it. Please go ahead.
Professor Ashok Ganguly, please come on stage.
So, I mean, what the people standing here do is a formal introduction to people, but since I interact with all of them, I take this opportunity to thank them. Professor Ganguly, I'd like to say something, because I use this pulpit to thank people as well, because NSS runs due to several such people in the campus. When I met him first time as a DDSP, I never knew him, but as an NSS coordinator, I just went into this thing. So we interacted for some time. So what Professor Ganguly said me, I still remember today. So that's why I'm quoting that. He said, Samrat, काफी दिन से NSS का immersion is missing. So, the kind of one point of time there used to be trips of NSS to places, and NSS used to stay for a long time in those places. And we used to learn about the surrounding and this thing. Samrat, ye cheez missing ho gaya. And the next thing what he said was more this thing for me. He said, Samrat, mera jo bhi schedule hai, तुम अगर 7 दिन के लिए किसी एक जगह पे जाओगे, and you'll say that we'll explore that place in terms of their problems, their issues, and also identify schools in which we can teach who cannot afford good teachers. I am ready to volunteer. Whatever, he's a DDSP, so he's having a lot of responsibilities, but still I remember, because that touched me so much, कि मेरे को कभी भी बुला लेना, मैं सब भूल के आप लोगों के साथ आ जाऊंगा. I want to stay with you, and maybe I will teach, maybe I will move around and try to pick up problems which we'll try to solve, right? So can we again have a big hand for Professor Ganguly?
A heartfelt thanks to everyone present in this hall for being such a great and enthusiastic audience. For more updates about our upcoming events in the next 2 days, please scan and save this QR code. We look forward to seeing you all in Kaizen 2022. Namaste.